Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee. He revealed his situation meeting with Aaron Glenn.
Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting undermining what you're saying? I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jet and to hear your vision for the team. What I thought was going to be a couple-hour meeting turned into like a 15-minute meeting.
And Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee and is now at UCLA. He'll be making $1.5 million compared to the $2.4 that he was making in Tennessee. He's now playing in the Big Ten at UCLA, not necessarily known as a football school. He was just in the college football playoff last year. Feels like a step down in every single thing. From our perspective, this looks like a disaster. Like, it looks like a disaster. You can try and spin it in any which way, but Nico is now kind of being made as the face of the ugly part of NIL and the transfer portal.
This is like the prime example of what everybody was concerned about happening. And this feels a lot like, Mikey, you probably remember this more so because he was a great running back, but the Le'Veon Bell situation with the Steelers and holding out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, I need this dollar amount and I'm worth it, so I'm going to hold out. And then all of a sudden, for all intents and purposes, he gets blackballed for a year because owners are like, nah, dude, we're not going to pay that. Nico, I feel for the kid because clearly, as the stories have been coming out and unraveling and everything like that, it was clearly his camp that sort of pushed this on him. And I think I said, when you start hearing a lot of things like you're the greatest, you're the best, you deserve this, you deserve that, it's really difficult for that to not seep in and for you to also believe it at the same time. So I get the sense that there was a little bit of that occurring. He's still a young kid. Like, all of this coming to a head right now. So ultimately this just sucks for him because he's losing out on millions of dollars to be quite frank. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to how he performs on the field. And that's the only way he can correct this, is if he just focuses on ball again and kind of lets this fall by the wayside and just put as best a product as he possibly can on the field this upcoming year.
You have to expect these kids are going to make bad decisions, and you can't just let parents represent. If the parents are going to represent the kids with this stuff, you have to make them take a class or get a certificate or something, have some sort of training, because you need to expect these kids who are at 18 to 22 being thrown millions of dollars. They're going to make bad decisions. You can't not expect that. But the least you can do is add some sort of credential necessarily, how do you say that sentence? Some sort of credential requirement for the people in their camp, in their representation, even if it's a parent or a relative.
I mean, we've seen some people, Lamar Jackson has his mom representing him and it seemed to work out all right. But also Lamar.
Yeah, but she got her license.
Did she actually?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's legit.
Did all the necessary.
Then. All right, there you go. Fair enough. What do you guys make though? There's like some takes or some rumors coming around about how, no, this was actually not about the money at all. This is about the offensive scheme at Tennessee, and that this actually doesn't prep Nico properly for his potential NFL career, and that UCLA, Bieniemy is there, and maybe they're going to run maybe a little bit more pro style offense, get him more prepped for the NFL potentially. What do you make of that?
Is it Bieniemy? Is he still there? I don't remember. I thought they split.
Did they split? Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think so.
How dare you say I'm wrong, Scott?
Yeah, no, it's Tino Sunseri is the new OC at UCLA.
Okay.
Yeah, because there was a recent split between Bieniemy and UCLA, I think, after the end of the season. But yeah, I think there's a lot you can hide behind. It's a reasonable excuse to have, but to say that about an SEC program, it's not as though they're going to have bum OC.
I know.
And like,
they know what they're doing. Can't produce a professional level quarterback out of the SEC. All right. You see who won the Super Bowl this year? Can you, Scott, throw up the next thing of Coach Marcus Freeman? Get a little Marcus Freeman back on this podcast. And we were talking about Marcus a lot during the college football playoff. This was his take. It's a minute long here. And I thought he had a really good point about transactional decisions, which is kind of what we were alluding to here. But can we play this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was a situation that became public, but I think it happens all over the country, right? And that, I think you have representatives for players and representatives for the university that are kind of having those discussions, but that one was a public one. The reality is our players are getting compensated, deserve to get compensated. What you don't want to do is what I'm sure you've heard many coaches say is you don't want players to make a a temporary decision based off a temporary situation that's going to affect them long term, right? And that transactional decisions aren't always the best ones for your future. And I think every situation's different. Every football program's different. But at the end of the day, you want to do what's right for college football, between what's right for college football, also what's right for our players. But you don't want this public disagreement to really tarnish what's so good about our profession and our sport.
Marcus Freeman, I just love this guy.
That's awesome.
This guy's he's one of my idols. He's, as Scott would say, he's a potential Mount Rushmore of one of my idols, perhaps. Right, Scott?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Potential Mount Rushmore for greatest ND coach of all time. He's the guy who's leading the charge. I love what he's saying here, too, is like it's similar to what John Fanta was saying on the last episode, where he was just like, I'm worried about what this is doing to guys. It's such the immediate sort of benefit that all of these deals are giving them, but they're not necessarily thinking like 3, 4, 5 years down the road, because it's so transactional. It's so money right now. And shout out to On3 and JD Pickle here for providing this sort of content and asking the right questions to the right guy, because I feel as though Marcus Freeman, and he's not alone in the college football head coach ranks that are starting to speak out, but he's hitting the nail on the head here, where transactional decisions for young guys, as Mikey was saying, like Nico is, it's just, this is such a learning opportunity, but the stakes are becoming higher and higher for these guys. And it's sad to see them go down a road that has ramifications into the future.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. This story in particular is incredibly ugly, at least from the outside. And maybe it'll be salvaged, and maybe it'll all work out for him at UCLA and he'll ball out and he'll make it to the NFL. It's like, hey, if you stayed at Tennessee and played another year and did decently, probably would have been a first-round draft pick, maybe second-round draft pick next year. And now he's trying to salvage it at UCLA. Speaking of Notre Dame, though, they also had a guy pop into the transfer portal. This man, Steve Angeli, the backup quarterback, who came in and was a little bit of a saving grace when Riley Leonard had to go out for a little bit. He's hitting the transfer portal. A little bit sad for Notre Dame, especially as Coach Freeman is just speaking to trying to avoid some of this stuff. But I don't know. I mean, Riley Leonard's leaving, and you'd think that Angeli would have just stepped right on in as the starter, seeing the small glimpses that we did see of him last year. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's surprising to see, because he was going in as a fourth year. You think that, okay, he's got some development under his belt that other guys on the roster may not have. Granted, he's going up against guys like CJ Carr and Minchie, and CJ Carr is the grandson of the late great Lloyd Carr, head coach of the Michigan football team, back in the earlier 2000s when they were prime program. He knows ball. Granted, there's a different skill set. Angeli, comparing, say, Riley Leonard, who had some wheels and escapability, and Ian Book prior to him, and going down that line, it seems like Notre Dame's recalibrating and going back to more of the pocket passer. Because I think CJ, who performed really well in the spring game, is roughly 6'2" and 210. So he's a little stockier, and doesn't necessarily have the same sort of high level athleticism or escapability as Riley Leonard did. So it's really interesting to see this. It hurts, because Notre Dame is one of those programs that you see guys stay, and they stay for a reason, because of culture, because of the development aspect of things.
Did they bring in transfers after Riley Leonard left, or were they going to give him an honest shot? The guy stayed for 4 years, has developed, he's probably a leader on the team, knows the offense, knows everything. And then this is the problem I have, that you have guys like this from a coaching perspective that are part of the program. They can perform, you can win with them, but they're stale because they've seen him for 4 years. They're used to him. It's not flashy. It's not new. It's not a novelty new guy who's oh, there's a lot of potential here. And so this is something I hate. You can win with this guy. Give him some support. Give him some opportunity to develop. Give him, he showcased his skill.
Novelty.
This is not the college coaches, I think, are some of the worst. Wow, look at that. I think are some of the worst with falling for the novelty thing. Who's next? Who's new?
Yeah.
Novelty is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
Hell of a drug.
I would say to answer some of those questions. So CJ, he was a red shirt. I think he's a red shirt freshman. So 2-year guy. He's been in the program for these past 2 years. I think the rub or the frustration you may be having was probably going back to last year when they brought Riley on, because Angeli had been there for 3 years at that point. And it was just like, okay, you're bringing in a transfer over top a guy who has stayed here, developed. Yes, he maybe got stale and you got, attracted by the shiny thing that was Riley Leonard. But all in all, it did pan out pretty well. And Angeli, through his development, showed promise and poise when he had to come in for Riley when he was injured. So, it's a tough, it's like between a rock and a hard place for these guys, but it's not as though they went out to the transfer portal to grab CJ Carr or Minchie. These guys have been here. They recruited them. So
that's different. That's different.
Yeah. All right. So there we have it. Notre Dame, Angeli in the transfer portal. Another big transfer portal, Colorado true freshman All-American center.
Yeah.
Entering the transfer portal. And then Scott, will you throw up this one of teammate reacts? Because I'm with this dude 100%. And this kind of goes along with the stuff that John Fannin was saying the other day about, where's your allegiance to? So This is Colorado star offensive tackle Jordan Seaton on the state of college sports after his fellow offensive lineman left. Tweets, can't even build a true brotherhood anymore. Too much I and me. And not to, keep hammering home this point, but this is the problem that we've been harping on this show and a lot of sports shows around the country, is that the camaraderie and brotherhood that was once prevalent and so special about college sports and college football in particular is disintegrating at a very scary, rapid rate. What are your thoughts on this one?
I'm glad to see that college players are actually starting to say this too, because we've been hearing it from coaches, and you take a lot of times you take what coaches say with a grain of salt, because what are their motivations and everything like that. Obviously they want to win, but they're willing to go through a lot of guys to do what they want to do. So it's cool to hear like the locker room start to step out and kind of put a stop to this, because it's like only the guys when it's the Wild West, it's only the dudes in the locker rooms that can really make things start, stop, move, left, right, whatever it may be. They're the ones who are putting all of the product on the field at the end of the day. They're the ones who are putting in the blood, sweat, and tears with each other. So I actually like seeing players come out and say this, because ultimately it's going to have to be this weird, if there aren't going to be rules or parameters put in place soon, it's going to have to be sort of policed, so to speak, by the locker rooms and the teams themselves and those teammates.
Yeah, man. It's just, you can't put a price on camaraderie and brotherhood and what you get in college football. Maybe a couple mil. Maybe if you get about $5 million.
Well, here's the thing with college football. You don't know you're in the good old days till you've left them. So like when you're in it, okay, you really take it for granted, as I do. I love taking things for granted.
Yes,
but if somebody flashed $500,000 with $1 million, I would leave in a second. I'll just make new friends. But you realize the power of the brotherhood of just like staying at a place for so long until you're gone. So it's like, it's really hard to have that kind of perspective when you're in it.
Yeah. All these kids are going to just snatch at the shiny thing and the big money there. It's so hard to have that perspective. I wonder if we're going to see any guys in college who are like, no, man, I want to stay here. I'm not making as much money or nearly as much money, but I want to stay here and be in one spot for 4 years and get that college football camaraderie and brotherhood. I wonder of kind of a big name player.
Yeah. Well, this harkens back to exactly what we were talking about with Marcus Freeman, and what he was saying is just like, when you get flashed $500,000, it's like in that moment, you have to make the proper decision for your future. It all depends on the person's situation. And no one's ever going to put their nose up at $500,000 except for maybe Nico and his cap. So it's just like, it's like I said, you're between a rock and a hard place similarly. But at the end of the day, I think there's starting to be a crack in the dam of guys just jumping at the money for the sake of camaraderie and building a program. And ultimately, I think we've talked about this before, even with NFL players. It's like when you start producing on a team and you stay there and there's a loyalty there, your brand is going to grow legendary status, like Tom Brady taking a deal that's probably not what you're worth, but being able to utilize that money that otherwise would have gone in your pocket to build a program around you that it just sustains success, and you're going to be legendary and you're going to have that name clout throughout history.
Absolutely. And then having that at one organization is something that's really, really special. And that's exactly what Fanta was saying the other day. Speaking of becoming legendary at a single organization, Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter both having their jersey number retired. Scott, will you throw this up here? This is very polarizing. Okay. And I feel like I know where you guys are going to stand on this. Okay. Let me preemptively push back a little bit. So here is the
You don't know me.
I know what you're going to say.
You know what goes on in this mind.
You guys are going to both hate this, and I'm not saying I don't hate this. Well, yeah, I am. I'm not. I'm a little bit more neutral. I can see why, and it is because they revived a nearly dead program. That is kind of a special thing. I mean, that's a very special thing. And they actually made Colorado football part of the conversation, the national conversation. I mean, they're talked about on sports shows every single week, even in the offseason, just like this. So there is some merit there. There is a reasonable argument to be made, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Where do you stand on these two guys getting their jerseys retired?
Okay, before we get into the negative, I will say that, it's very bloated, their impact on college football, just because of the age of marketing and kind of the social media age. If they had done this years ago, I don't think it would warrant a jersey retirement for Shedeur, at least, just because it's hard to take it seriously. Like the impact of the social media presence that they had, or like the marketing presence, in factor that in. But I think Travis Hunter, that's warranted. He won the Heisman. Shedeur is a different. It seems like Shedeur's retirement is more so on the his marketability aspect versus his actual.
Sure. And the name probably as well.
Yeah,
Scott, what do you think?
Yeah. Furthering that, I don't have the biggest problem with this, because universities are going to do what they're going to do. And if they want to retire their jersey, so be it. It's not like he's getting retired in NCAA lore or anything like that, or in the pantheon there. It's just okay, within that school specific, he was a main player in bringing back a dead program, as you were saying, Nick. So I get it. I get it. But to be frank, I think Travis Hunter is probably more deserving of a jersey retirement, just solely due to the fact that he was a unicorn within college football and football in general, playing both sides at the level that he was. So, at the end of the day, it's it feels kind of cheesy, but I'm not gonna scream to high heaven about it.
Scott, I was counting on you screaming to high heaven about this.
No, man, why do I always got to be the crotchety old man?
You're the oldest on the show.
That's your brand.
You're a father of two, Scott. Of course you're going to be wagging your finger at in my day, they didn't retire jerseys until 10 years later. I do feel like it's pretty fast. Do they really often retire jersey numbers this quickly? Didn't Mahomes just get his, or just get inducted into the Ring of Honor at Tech last year? Yeah, that's a couple.
When did Johnny Manziel's jersey get retired? Did his get retired?
Poof.
If it hasn't been, it should be. But good point, Nick. But I think that also goes to what Mikey is talking about in the marketability and just how many eyeballs were on Colorado at this point. It's just everything is so expedited, at least in that program and in that world, because they have multiple streams, you got Coach Prime, you got all this, documentary stuff going on. And it just, I get why they expedited this, but it does feel hey, pump the brakes, give it at least a year to breathe. So let's see how the rookie year goes in the NFL. And
at the start of the show, Mikey was complaining about the long feedback loops of life. Right here, it's a great example of a really quick feedback loop. Oh, good season, retire it. That's spring. Quick feedback.
You know what?
loop.
I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, there you go, Mike. I knew that'd get you. You want your feedback quickly. So
life should just be a little bit more efficient with its side of the side of the bargain.
You sometimes you just got to sit in it. You just got to sit, and life will come to you, and you'll just that's what happens. Scott,
life's operating on a different scale. It doesn't appreciate the finiteness. I don't have that much time. Life is trillions of years old. I'm 20.
It has no respect for your schedule.
Oh, really? Rounding down there, Michael.
Why don't you round it down?
I'm 40.
In
November, I'll be 40.
I'm 20. Whatever. All
Just
right.
40s.
There we go. I'm a bank teller. Okay. Let's move on to the NFL. because we love talking about Aaron Rodgers and all the drama and the gossip of where is this dude going to go? Is he going to go somewhere? Obviously, he was with the Jets. Aaron Glenn comes over from the Lions, crushes the DC, gets the head coaching job with the Jets. And Aaron Rodgers went on Pat McAfee this week, and it was pretty groundbreaking, very, very interesting things that he revealed about his situation, meeting with Aaron Glenn to try and discuss the future of his possible position at this franchise.
I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country, and 20 seconds in, he goes, "So do you want to play football?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm interested." And he said, "We're going a different direction at quarterback." And I was kind of shocked. Now, not shocked because I didn't think that was a possibility, but shocked because I just flew across country. You could have told me this on the phone. And this is verbatim exactly how it happened. And he goes, "We just want to know how you want it released, the messaging." And I said, verbatim, "I don't give a shit about the message." And then he said, "I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you." And I said, "What does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting undermining what you're saying?" I said, "You don't know me." And he said, "You don't know me." And then I said, "Exactly," which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team.
Okay, first of all, kudos to Aaron Rodgers for his comedic timing, especially at the end there. I mean, really, really good setup, punch, payoff. I mean, that was Mike. Was that good?
Really
Comedy-wise?
good to a T.
Really, really
timing.
good. So if this is to be believed, which I feel like I can trust Aaron Rodgers. I don't know. I've seen him talk long form a lot of times. I watched a documentary about him. I feel like he's like
You can trust him because he vanished his ego with ayahuasca. He's got no ego. It's gone.
yeah, exactly. And he just like he does. It seems like he doesn't really care about pleasing people or anything like that. So I feel like he's probably telling the truth of how this went down. His truth. That's a joke. I hate when people say that. That's a joke. The truth. And if this is the case, if this is the reality, Aaron Glenn has been dropped down a few points in my book of my perception of him and my feeling of how well he will do at the Jets. Where do you guys stand on this?
I think this is in lockstep with how we've seen Aaron even approach the media, right? So we saw him in that initial press conference where somebody was asking him questions and he was just point blank, no BS. And he's just like, "Oh no, that's not how I do it," or something along those lines. Paraphrasing there. And, he's a no nonsense guy. To what degree that needed to be employed on a conversation or a person like Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. And for this to happen as quickly as it did and devolve as quickly as it did, I think is somewhat of a slap in the face and probably should have been approached a little differently. But hey, that's Aaron Glenn baseball, man, or football.
Confused. A lot of different errands being thrown around. We got to go Glenn and Rodgers. No, I'm with you right there. And I do, just like Aaron Rodgers said, he wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to go in a different direction. Obviously, Aaron Glenn coming in, he's wanted to establish like his own culture, and this is a franchise that needs a total reboot. So that's not surprising there. But like I said, if this is to be believed, if he really said, "I don't want me saying something at the front of the room and guys turning to the back to look at you at the back of the room to undermine me," it feels a little insecure, I would say.
Yes.
Doesn't it? It feels a little insecure.
Yeah.
That's
He's
my-
worried about the team respecting Aaron more than him. Like, that's it. That's his
Right.
concern.
Yeah.
When I would like my head coach to think of a player that all the other guys on the team would respect to that level as an asset and not a threat to my authority. And so that's why it feels a little bit insecure. It's like, hey, those two things can go hand in hand. There's a difference between a head coach and a veteran quarterback. And if the head coach is confident enough in what he's doing, there's no problem having a 40-year-old veteran quarterback. Don't you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that. But playing devil's advocate, like, I understand why Aaron Glenn, being a first-time head coach, would approach it cautiously. Granted, did I think he turned into a bull in a china shop? Yeah. Probably not the way to approach it, but slow playing it. And then at the end of the day, like, giving him a little more credit. It's like, yeah, you gotta make business decisions as an organization. So, do I think he approached it properly? No. Do I think his concerns are valid? Yeah, to a certain extent. He is a first-time coach. He doesn't quite know how to approach that position all that well yet. So, I give him some rope, but I still don't think you approach it this way because it is disrespectful to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I guess I can see that. I mean, I think there is something to what you just said there. There's kind of a difference between a first-year head coach having that feeling about a 20-year vet quarterback, whereas if both of these guys were experienced in the positions that they're stepping in this year, then maybe it could be a little bit different, and he wouldn't have this perceived. I don't want to call it a threat, but it kind of feels like he's perceiving it as a threat to his authority. So yeah, I mean, I at the end of the day, it's like it should have been handled better, probably, if this is to be believed.
So the through line of this conversation is Mikey doesn't like how life takes forever to teach you lessons and the methodical nature of things. Maybe Aaron should have taken that approach and let life happen that way, as opposed to the instant decision that he made here.
Title of this episode: feedback loops, long or slow? What do we want? There we have it. Fast or slow, Mike? Okay, so that was pretty interesting. It was see where Aaron Rodgers lands. He says he's like totally open to everything, including retirements, but that he would only want to really play for like a possible contender type team. Yeah. Another sort of NFL story, NFL draft story. Okay, Ashton Jeanty, and Scott, will you throw this up because this is going around of Jeanty. He's 5'8", of him dunking. Pretty impressive explosion right there. Let's see. Let's looks like me at SAC in 2007, the summer. You guys, if you do recall. So
dunking on Jeff, the SAC.
How many takes did that take?
Legend,
this video. How many tries? How many tries did it take for him to get this video?
That's the thing. We never know. In this day and age, we never know. Will you then, Scott, throw up the next thing? Because would you use this because Ashton Jeanty also, in addition to his dunk going around, making the rounds, this letter that he wrote, sort of an open letter to NFL teams. Short and sweet, here it is. I've taken the long way. I'm done with that way. If you pick me, it's simple. I'm coming to your franchise to do what Saquon and the Eagles just did. I'm coming to win big soon. It's tackle football. You know what I'm saying? I draft the guy they can't tackle. Thank you for your time, Ashton Jeanty. How do you feel about a prospect putting out a letter like this? Now, we saw Pat Mahomes do this a few years ago. It was a little bit of a different vibe, though. It had a little bit of a different tone. It was a little bit more humble and sort of give me a chance and I'll show you what I can do type thing. Whereas this Jeanty saying, hey, I'm going to come do exactly what the Offensive Player of the Year Super Bowl champion did. I'm going to do that first year. Gives a little bit of that vibe. What do you think?
Yeah, it's more of the Josh Rosen type of thing where Josh Rosen guaranteed 4 Super Bowls before he was drafted. Oops. And I think there is nothing to be gained by putting out a letter like this. What do you think is going to happen? You think your draft stock is going to go up? You think GMs are going, hey, did you see Gentry's tweet?
Yeah.
He said, nope. Nobody cares.
It's like, yeah, who's going to be reading that and go, you know what? He made a good point. We should get the guy they can't tackle. It's like,
it's tackle football?
Oh my gosh.
Let's get Gentry.
All right, Scott, try to defend
I still think you draft him early. Enough with that letter.
Okay, I got to take the other side. Mahomes' was more like, hey, draft me, see what I can do. You'll be pleasantly surprised, like PLZ draft me.
PLZ.
This one, I get it. I expect this more from a quarterback because that quarterbacks need that sort of confidence, whether it be real or pseudo, whatever. Like they kind of need that when you enter in a position like that. You kind of need to have a level of like delusional confidence to approach it. It's all the way in which it manifests. Running back, little surprised that it's coming out of that position because usually they're the ones who like put their head down and just grind, especially this day and age. But at the same time, I do appreciate his confidence because I mean he balled out in college and not many people did tackle him. I mean, we even talked to Andy about his elusiveness and how difficult he is just due to his center of gravity to get underneath him and actually take him to the ground. So like, I'm not like totally turned off by this, but I also think isn't the letter to organizations just a little like, I love tradition, but this seems to have gone extinct. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah, I don't know. This
is a letter like a corner could write a letter
There you
like
go.
this and nobody would say anything. Yeah, he's a corner. He's going to do stuff like that. It's
True.
Running back, you're so dependent on the offensive line and so dependent on other people that you can't really put forward that much of an
That's a
ego
good
attitude,
point.
I think.
I mean, you could get drafted by a team with just a terrible offensive line and have a terrible year, and then your letter looks really dumb.
Your letter.
You are. It's just like, yeah, the letter is not a move. I don't know. I mean, I think he's going to be very good in the NFL. It's so hard to know with running backs, isn't it? It's just so hard to know. And if you want to take sort of the negative shots at his potential, there is like, okay, he did play at Boise State, didn't play the top tier SEC Big Ten competition, and when they did get in the playoff, wasn't as productive. I don't know. It just feels a little bit too bold for me, and so I am gonna go again give that a big thumbs down. The thumb gets a thumbs down for me. Most
Although
letters, I give a thumbs up. What?
Gotta say the dunk is impressive. Like 5'8", getting up and doing that. I mean,
after you just done all combine training, you're at the peak here.
All right,
if you can't dunk after doing combine training for 3 months,
yeah.
You're training at the wrong spot.
Well, if you're 5'8", it's impressive.
Yeah, if you're 5'8", that's pretty nuts. Like if you were 6 foot, I'd be like, okay, dude.
Mike, you're showing no sympathy or empathy with 5'8"ers.
No,
absolutely none. Okay.
No, you're more springy. You have actually an advantage. You have a better spring load.
5'8" privilege.
This is exactly what Mike Leach was thinking.
Oh, Mike Leach. Scott, I know you're excited by this. Real quick, just a quick touch on NBA playoffs. Okay, will you throw up this graphic that we've got? Kind of cool if you're a Cavs fan, which Scott is, of course.
Look at this movement, steady Eddie.
All right. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say about this. Do you remember my argument about heart rate variability?
What are you saying? The Cavs are dead?
No, I'm not saying. I mean, yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's
flatlined.
It's flatlined, sure, but also a little bit of variety, of variability in your experiences. I think it helps. It's like when you win different types of games. To just be sitting at the top there the whole season.
They are not anti-fragile.
They are not anti-fragile. In fact, they're very fragile. All they've known this entire season is, we're number 1 seed. And when you guys hit a little bit of adversity, Scott?
They faced adversity, and they came through the better on the other end. So they know they have the confidence and the capability of doing this when it hits the fan, and they've proven it. So seeing that consistency for me is a beautiful thing. It's not an alarming thing.
Okay. Okay. And you're speaking from a place of no bias.
No bias. No.
No bias. No bias here, sir. We have no bias
here.
No. All right. So that's actually the exciting positive hit on Cleveland sports. We like to touch on Cleveland sports every single episode, whether it be positive or whether it be the Browns. And there we have it right there. I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this take. Scott, will you throw us up? What are your thoughts on this take in the other category? We were just talking a bunch last week about the Masters and how it's so special that it's always held at the same location, always at Augusta. Okay, this person had a really interesting take. The Super Bowl shouldn't be a neutral site game, or it should be in the same city every year, like the Masters, like Wimbledon. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, it could go two directions. It could be like, okay, make it more like Masters Wimbledon, or make it more like the Olympics.
Okay.
New place every time.
But that's kind of what they do right now. It's sort of Olympic style. New place.
I know what I'm saying. These are the two options.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, those are.
But you're losing when you're moving it so much. You lose like the tradition and nostalgia that's associated with having it spot in one.
Right. Scott.
Yeah. This is intriguing because look, up until probably 10 years ago, maybe a little more, 10, 15 years ago, the Pro Bowl was something to like aspire to reach and be a part of when you were a player, right? And even the fans after the Super Bowl, I forgot when they switched it to the week after or the week before, but even the fans loved watching that because it was such an event, such a solid game because you got guys like that actually tried on the field. Maybe not to the same degree as they would in the regular season or anything like that, but still, there was still some competition. So like part of me wants to revitalize what that was out in Hawaii, and maybe we just make it a Hawaiian Super Bowl. every year. Like, look, you're going to get great weather, or at least like pretty solid weather. So you don't have to worry about the climate or anything like that. And it also brings back some tradition that once was in the Hawaiian Pro Bowl.
Interesting. Okay. So you would, if we were to go down this route, you would put it in Hawaii. Okay.
That's the only thing. Granted, you have the issue with like ticket prices for the Super Bowl being astronomical these days, to where it's like the fan that just is a diehard and can't financially make it, like putting it out in Hawaii only adds to that level of difficulty.
Let me tell you about
Take out a loan. Okay, put on a credit
Yeah,
card. Are you a fan or not?
there's
Period.
that new no interest loan payment.
Find a way.
Everybody, 60% of the people that went to Coachella this year financed their tickets. All right. You
Oh,
can finance
yeah.
DoorDash. Talk about the Big Short. There's a bubble. All right. Scott wants it in Hawaii. Mike, where would you put the Super Bowl if you had it every year? You'd pick Hawaii.
Vegas.
Too. Vegas.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
I'd say Hawaii, but it'd be $10,000 per person for the event minimum.
Yeah, that's
Is the only
basically what
problem.
it is already. I would probably put it in the Bavarian Alps, somewhere beautiful.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
People are gonna
all
make
right,
it. Good
enough.
idea. Good
All right.
marketing idea.
Well, great marketing. There we have it. That's our show, everybody. Thank you for watching.
I think
we
of
got some
another
interesting
spot you
stuff,
could put it.
interesting stuff to talk about on Monday about Bill Belichick that we didn't get to today. That I really want to get your thoughts on, Mike. That you're gonna hate. You're gonna hate it. We'll talk about it on Monday.
You want my thoughts?
Yeah, well, not right now. Later. Okay. I'm sick of your thoughts today. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.